the Four Noble Truths. The Lord Buddha laid down the Four Noble Truths. The first of the Noble Truths is that there is dukkha. Dukkha, what does dukkha mean? Dukkha is a container for everything that is unpleasant, that is restlessness, that is discomfort, that is discontent, that is dissatisfaction, that is suffering, from the smallest kind of suffering, mental suffering, physical suffering, till to the biggest pain. That's all what is called, described by dukkha. Dukkha is the container for everything that is unpleasant. Restlessness is unpleasant. Discomfort, discontent. And I think we all know this. We have all experienced it within ourselves, and for most of us who are here, that's the reason why we are here. We're looking for a way out of dukkha. So the first Noble Truth says this, that human beings or all beings in the threefold universe have dukkha. The second Noble Truth is the truth of the origin of dukkha. What causes it? Dukkha is caused by our wanting, and it's caused by avijja. Avijja is not knowing, blindness, or not knowing correctly. That is the cause of our dukkha. Because we do not know correctly, that's why we attach to things, that's why we long for things, that's why we hate or dislike. And not knowing correctly is a fundamental ignorance, what is called it. So this is the cause of all our dukkha. The third Noble Truth is just a simple and happy statement that there is an end for all the suffering. That there is an end to all this dukkha. In the fourth Noble Truth, and that's where I will take a lot of time to explain it in detail, is the path that leads out of dukkha. Or the path that leads to the end of all dukkha. This path is comprised of three columns. The first column is sila. Sila means virtue, morality. It's called the five. The five first precepts is not to harm any living being. Living beings are animals as well, are human beings as well, and are beings in other realms as well. Beings that we normally don't see with our eyes. We see only two kinds of beings in this world, that is animals and humans. Other beings we don't see. So, not to harm any living being. The second precept is not to take what is not given. It's not only stealing, it's not to take what is not given to us. What has an end. The third precept is not to use harsh speech, not to lie. And this includes lying to ourselves. If we are honest with ourselves, we can be honest to others. If we lie to ourselves, we normally lie to others. So that is the third precept. The fourth precept is not to indulge into sexual misconduct. What does that mean? If you have a partner, you have just this one partner. If you have a spouse, then you just have that one spouse. If you're married, then you're just married to that one person. It also means not sexual misconduct is also not using other beings for one's personal pleasure. And beings include animals. That is called sexual misconduct. Either we have the power, or we have the money, or we have the influence, so that other people get pulled into that, and they willingly give us what we want. This is called sexual misconduct. Because we use our power, we use our money, we use our influence to seduce other people or to make them believe. But in fact, we're just waiting for our own sexual pleasure. So that is called sexual misconduct. And the fifth, no alcohol and no drugs. Alcohol and drugs in the respect that makes our mindfulness less. Drugs, you don't know what you're doing. Alcohol, you don't know what you're doing. You say things when you just drink one glass of beer or one glass of wine that you wouldn't have said when you were sober. That's the reason why for this fifth priest, not to use alcohol, not to use drugs. So this is Sila. It's called virtue morality. This is one part of the path. Now, remember these 5 precepts very well. These 5 precepts, keeping them to the best our mindfulness, keeping them to the best of our wishes, is keeping our right to be born as a human being. A being that keeps these 5 silas, a being that keeps these 5 precepts, can call itself a human being. If we go against the 5 precepts, then we go against our right to be born as human beings. Then we go down to the lower realm. The lower realm are animal realms. They don't follow the first precept. Are the ghost realm, the demon realm, and the hell. So if we don't take care of our precepts and try to take them as a protection for ourselves to keep in the world of human beings, or to call ourselves a human being, we will lose it. So we better stick to it. It's our protection to be born as a human being. So we don't want to fiddle around with that. Nobody, I believe, nobody really wants to go to hell. Nobody really wants to be born as a hungry goat. And I don't think they have a lot of sukha there. As human beings, we have sukha, that means, we have pleasantness and we have unpleasantness. Beings in the lower realms, they don't know what pleasantness is. They don't have a rest. They experience sukha 24 hours a day. So that's certainly not what we want to do. Now keep that in mind. It's the first column of the path that leads out of sukha. The second column is samadhi. Samadhi is mindfulness and concentration. Mindfulness is not self-consciousness. Mindfulness is being mindful of what is going on. Being aware of what is going on. Being aware what we are doing, why we are doing, and what results our doing has. Being mindful of what we're thinking, why we are thinking, and what results does it have. Being mindful of what we are speaking, why we are speaking and what result does it have. That is called mindfulness. When we have mindfulness in all these three, the bodily actions, the mind actions, and the speech actions, then we have no problem to keep our precepts. So mindfulness is a prerequisite. In Pali it's called sati, and I will often use this word sati for mindfulness. Mindfulness, awareness. In German it's Gewahr, Wahrsam. So, Samadhi is the state of absorption, is the state of concentration. When our mind gets still, it gathers in its book, or it gathers in its chatter. But because of our mind is like a wild beast, we have to take it. So we have to put it on a tight leash and tie it up to a pole. Otherwise, no wild animal will ever take it. Once you catch a wild animal and you tie it firmly to a pole, then after it knows it cannot go out again, it will take a rest. So, our mind. If we are not consistently keeping the mind inside, it will run out. And I think every one of you knows it, every one of you has experienced it. 1 minute we stay on our meditation object, even 1 minute is a long time, and then the mind goes off. Wandering away, wandering in the past, wandering in the future, wandering in what happened, what we are doing, and so on. Going out in fantasies, going out in daydreams. So, whenever we catch it, we put it back. And that is the most simple work we can do. Yet, it is so difficult. Just tying the mind to the pole. The pole is our meditation object. It's a crutch. The meditation object is a crutch. It's the pole. So, it can be the word Buddha, the mental repetition of the word Buddha. In the beginning it might be very fast because our mind is not calm. So it's Buddha, 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 Buddha. And after a while, when the mind gets calmer, the repetition of the Buddha will become slow. Until the word Buddha completely disappears. When the word Buddha completely disappears, the mind is extreme. You can sit down. Come on. I speak my pen. Huh? ใช่เคยมา So where are you from India?
I'm from Canada.
Canada.
Yes.
But Indians are limited. So you just came for a visit? Or you just going off?
No, I just stayed 2 days here. And we came from Otopodong yesterday. Katina finished there. And I asked to Ajahn also last time after Pansa. come here. We stay 2 days.
Now samadhi, where was it? Putting the mind to the pole. The pole is the meditation object. And we so if you make the mental repetition of the word Buddha, 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 we do it as long as the repetition of the word Buddha completely disappears and the mind is completely calm. It's not the way that it just disappears because we think something else. It disappears on its own. Like the speed of the repetition will get slower and slower and slower when the mind becomes calmer and calmer. It disappears only at the moment where we cannot even concentrate to one thought. That's where the Buddha disappears. And the mind becomes extremely calm. Most of the time it becomes happy as well. Very happy, very contented. And it might go down into one point, where the object and the observer of the object become one. That's why it's called one-pointed. When there's a state of one-pointedness, that's called appana samadhi, or the deep state of samadhi. It's the first time in our life, most probably in our life, where everything disappears. First, our body disappears completely from our way. The second thing is that the world outside will completely disappear. And there's nothing left. Nothing left except for knowing. That is the deep state of samadhi. Knowingness, as Sanatana Mahaprabhu puts it, is the nibbana of the living. It's a preview of how satisfying, how content the state of calm can be. But it's not yet. The moment we come out, the mind gets involved in all these usual activities, and when we see it, it's like going back into the circus of life. There are the sounds, there are the sights, and there are this and that. There are our wishes, there are our longings, there is our hate, and there is our want. So samadhi, the deep state of samadhi, shows us our inner riches, shows us what is there all the time, shows us the basis of our own nature. And we want to find our own nature, that's where we can find it. So for us, and especially for Westerners, it's a must. It really is a must to get the mind so calm, to get down there, to bring it down there. Cost it what it wants. We just have to do it. This gives us the assurance that there is something beyond this life that we experience every day that is more worthwhile than everything else. That's why we must go and experience it for ourselves. Just hearing about it is not enough. We have to go. We have to do it. And we can do it. The work is so simple. We just put our attention on the one meditation. When we are used to anapanasati, the mindfulness of breathing in and breathing out, we put our attention just at the tip of the nose. Nowhere else. Just the tip of the nose. At the tip of the nose, we are aware, we are mindful that the breath is coming in or that the breath is coming out. We know that the breath is coming in. We know that the breath is deep. We know that the breath is shallow. We know that the in-breath is longer. We know that the out-breath is short. We know all this. but our concentration focuses just on that one point. Otherwise, if we follow the breath, how can we ever get one point? One pointed means just one point. And that's where we fix our attention. If you want to tame a wild beast, we don't give it 4 or 5 areas where it can run around, we just give it one cage. When it knows it cannot get out of its cage, it will lie down, go to rest. There are 3 types of samadhi. What I was talking about was apana samadhi. That is really the deep state of samadhi. The person who has first experienced this kind of samadhi, when he comes out, and we have to come out, after a while, it can be 5 minutes, or it can be 5 hours, or it can be 5 days, we come out and we want to go back. That is the experience of everyone who has gone. We just want to go back. It was so nice. It was so beautiful. It was so peaceful. It was so content. The same thing, but not as deep, is the state of upachara samadhi, access samadhi. Access samadhi is when you're in the rain, when you're in the storm, and you see a glass house, you open the door, you close the door, you still see the storm, you still see the rain, but it doesn't touch you. You are at a safe place. That is called upachara samadhi. Upachara samadhi, every one of you can do. If you are determined, you can do it within 10 days or 15 days or 20 days. And no problem. If you are not determined, if you practice half-heartedly, you get half-hearted results. You never get there. Only from the morning you wake up, you make the repetition of the word Buddha, or you concentrate on the tip of the nose and be mindful of breathing in and breathing out, then you will be able to do it till the evening. And nothing else. And that's where all our efforts go. Whatever else comes into the mind, we chuck it out and we pull the mind back and put it back on its way. The work is so extremely simple, so why are we not able to do it? It's such a simple work. Just keep the concentration on one thing. That's all. Our effort, our endurance is just in pulling. The moment we notice the mind has gone out for a throw, we put it back on that. Being the breath or being at the repetition of the word. That's all what we need. That's all our work, and it is important. Mindfulness is the basis of our work. Mindfulness of breathing in, breathing out, mindfulness of the repetition of the word Buddha, that is the basis of our practice. So we do 2 things at the same time. We sharpen our mindfulness and we get the ability to rest our mind. Normal people work in their daily life, work 7 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. When they're tired, they put their body to rest. We have been born and we have never put our mind to rest. It's working 24 hours a day. So, can you imagine how tired this mind is? Can you really imagine? It has never had a rest. It's put to work all day long. All day long, thinking, doing this, doing that. In the night, it dreams. Dreams about the things that we have not digested. Dreams about the past, or dreams about the future, and so on. During the day, we think about the past, we think about the future, but we are never there in the present moment. never. The present moment always slips off. So we actually, when we think about this, we never ever lived really. We lived in our thoughts, we lived in our imagination, we lived in a world that we made. But we have never lived in the present moment. That's why it's so important to develop the mindfulness and to develop Dhamma. To be for the first time in our life, to really know what it is, the present moment. To really know and experience for ourselves what it means to have a calm mind. What it means to have a contented mind. To what it means to have a mind that is whole, that is not separate, that is one. A mind, when I talk about the mind, sometimes I talk about the heart, it all refers to the citta. So, that's the importance of mindfulness in Dhamma. And the third column of the Eightfold Path is wisdom, panya. Wisdom doesn't arise in our knowledge. Wisdom is not knowledge, it doesn't arise in our mind. It arises in our heart. Wisdom is seeing inside. It's not knowing outside. Wisdom is something that we have to develop. And the way we develop is in contrary to the way the world develops what they call wisdom. What they call wisdom is knowledge. Reading this, reading that, knowing this, knowing that. That's what's called knowledge. It has nothing to do with wisdom. We can use it to develop wisdom, but that's all that it is. Let down. Always by force without. That is not the solution. The Lord Buddha said to Ananda once. Ananda asked the Lord Buddha, because they came into the town, and then they called the Lord Buddha and him skinheads, camels, and so on. Then Ananda asked the Lord Buddha, if they do this like that to us, why don't we go to another town? Then the Lord Buddha gave the answer, or asked Ananda, and what if in that town they do the same thing? Well, then we just go to another town. And then the Lord Buddha asked Ananda, and in the end, if it happens in every town, where will you go? You will only meet yourself. Wherever you go, it's where you meet yourself. Whatever you don't like is within yourself. Whatever you like is within yourself. There's no place, there's no condition that is perfect for you. The only condition and place for you that is perfect is going within your citta. Okay? Thank you. So, questions? Well, it's completely up to you. How much effort you put into it, that's what the result will be. If you put little effort, then the result will be little. If you put a lot of effort, then the result will be extreme. The Lord Buddha as well said, one who has mindfulness, sati, for 7 days and 7 nights, he can reach enlightenment. He can reach Nibbana. Whose mindfulness is not complete, it may take him 7 days, 7 months, 7 years, or 7 losses. Mindfulness is the important factor. Mindfulness, awareness of what is actually going on. What are we doing? Why are we doing? What results does it have? Mindfulness, awareness, not self-consciousness. Self-consciousness is somebody who walks along the street and thinks of himself, oh, I'm walking along the street. That is not called mindfulness. That is called self-consciousness, and it's contrary to mindfulness. Mindfulness is just a way of walking, just a way of the movement of the body. That's what called mindfulness. That's what called awareness.